Roger Stone here. Every day you wait, your money loses value, but gold and silver don't follow those same rules. American Sovereign Bullion gives you access to a nationwide wholesaler network, helping you secure aggressive pricing on real physical metals. Call 844-272-2428 now to get your free gold and silver guide to learn how to protect your wealth with physical gold and silver, delivered right to your door or with a gold IRA. Visit asbgold.com. That's asbgold.com for your free gold and silver guide today.
Listen, all you New Yorkers. Excuse me, taxi.
Okay, man, we're looking around.
This is the 77 WABC minicast.
Sunday morning. Live long and prosper. Dr. Peter Michalos is going to tell you, how can we live to be at least 100? Well, Dr. Peter, what's the tips of the day?
Well, today, John, we're going to talk about the exciting and amazing developments in medicine in 2026 and the things that are around the corner. For example, one of the biggest diseases that Americans deal with and worldwide is heart disease and strokes. And there's some new medicines. For example, there's one blood test called the LP-little-a, and that's the cholesterol, that's the sticky one, the tiny one, that penetrates and forms the plaque and inflammation and increases your risk of heart attacks, especially those who have a genetic predisposition. And there's a new technology, a new medicine coming out called pacalorsen, and it's called antisense therapy. And what it does, it goes to your liver and it blocks the production of this LP-little-a, and that's going to end up saving a lot of lives. And the other one, which we already have, are called the PCSK9 inhibitors, like Praluent and Repatha, and they are able to lower the cholesterol dramatically and the LDL and the apolipoprotein, which is another big marker that you should check when you're checking out your heart. And that one was actually developed initially by George Yancopoulos at Regeneron, and that medicine has been shown to actually reverse blockages, reverse the plaque. And I told one friend who 2 years ago started taking it, the doctors was surprised that his scan showed that his plaques had actually reversed. So anybody on heart stents should probably be on one of those PCSK9 inhibitors. And the other great thing that came out of Regeneron and George Yancopoulos is that they have developed this mouse called the Velocimune mouse that mimics the human immune system. So they give it a disease like they gave it to Ebola, and they were the first to make antibodies against Ebola. And during COVID, they also made the amazing medicine for COVID by giving it to the mouse and then generating antibodies against that specific variant of COVID. And a lot of us who got COVID were able to get that, including the President of the United States. That's the IV antibody that he got. So it is pretty amazing. There's also now people who get anaphylactic or allergic reactions. You always had to get that emergency epinephrine shot. There's a new oral pill coming out, Anaphyllin. It's the first oral epinephrine for severe allergic reactions, which is a very big deal. We're also got a new medicine for breast cancer for people who have a certain gene mutation called the ESR1. For women with breast cancer, it's called camizestrant, so that's amazing. And also the cancer vaccines that are coming out, that basically you're going to go for your biopsy, and if it's cancer, they're going to send it to the lab, and they're going to look at the keys on the surface of your specific cancer and make a vaccine customized just for your cancer. And that type of immune therapy is going to be amazing. It's already starting to be used in melanoma, which is very exciting. And then, of course, the testing and the early diagnosis, the liquid biopsies, like the blood test that can spot tumor DNA just on a simple blood test like the one from CancerGuard. Those are the makers of Cologuard, which I recommend. Everyone who's afraid of getting colonoscopy, you just send in a poop sample and you can analyze with Cologuard to see if you have colon cancer, and that's amazing. And also we're going to hear a lot about AI, because AI is changing medicine, because AI, as you say, is only as good as what you feed into it. But for CAT scans, MRIs, ultrasound, and reading your lab work, it is pretty amazing. And they found that it actually reads the MRIs and scans sometimes better than the human. And in one study, they found that it picked up early pancreatic cancer better than the human eye. And now with things like Grok and AI, you can just take a picture of your labs and your reports, and then you ask it to give you an analysis.
That is
It
amazing.
It gives you and it gives you a diagnosis.
But,
and it
but
tells you what
let me
to
ask
watch
this
out
silly
for.
question. And me and you know about this stuff, and we want our listeners to know about this stuff because we want our listeners to live to 100, and if not more. But all the doctors we have in the world. Some of the doctors got an A when they graduated, and some of the doctors got a D. I mean, how do you know which doctor to go to?
Well, the issue, John, is more about now that most of the private practitioners are no longer around, and it's moved into a model where they work for some larger entity or some hedge fund, and they only have 15 minutes with you, and you're not going to get this kind of care. And sadly and unfortunately, you have to sometimes be your own doctor. Be prepared. Do this stuff before you go to the doctor with those 15 minutes. Show them what you found. Show them your report. And sometimes you have to pay for private concierge medicine, or unfortunately, that's the model where people have to, find a private doctor. Otherwise, you're not going to get the time of day in this new model where they have to see 40 patients a day. And if you can do things in advance, like I did genetic testing to find out what medicines I was likely to benefit from and which ones would be toxic. And I found out just by doing it on my own. But then I can show it to my doctor, hey, I can't take this medicine or this medicine because it'll interact, and here's my genetic testing. And the other thing we're going to see more about to help people is telehealth, and there'll be inexpensive telehealth services where, for example, if you're a cardiac patient, they can monitor you remotely, or if you're pregnant, they can monitor your pregnancy remotely, or some of these watches now can pick up whether you have an arrhythmia or you're having AFib or some heart problem, and it can notify you, and you can notify your doctor right away. So these are exciting things, but of course, with the good comes the bad. Also, some of these new weight loss drugs are amazing, like Zepbound for sleep apnea, losing weight, fatty liver, and that's helping a lot of people, but there's also a risk. 1 in 10,000 people now are presenting with vision loss, and there's like 7,000 people now who've gone stone cold blind with non-ischemic artery disease of the eye, and those are some of the problems. And there's also now a bunch of lawsuits because it slows down your intestinal mobility, and some people are getting intestinal obstruction, blocking the instruction. That's also like 1 in 10,000. So there are a lot of positive things, but we also have to watch out for the long-term issues. That's why I keep listening to WABC. And as I wrote in my book, The Death of Aging, I said, add years to your life and life to your years. And that's why you have to keep listening to WABC for more interesting health tips. And also we're on TikTok at Death of Aging, and Instagram to get some of the updated information before the new book, The Death of Aging, comes out.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Peter Michalos, and let's catch up again real soon. But we want our listeners to live to 100.
Thank you, John, for always getting the truth out on the Cats Roundtable.
77 WABC and Bergen Newbridge Medical Center honor the life of legendary broadcaster and our friend, Ernie Anastas.
Hi, it's Ernie Anastas. Your thoughts can affect how you feel. Bergen Newbridge Medical Center is the largest hospital in New Jersey, providing comprehensive, equitable, compassionate, and high-quality emergency inpatient and outpatient medical care, plus mental health services and substance use disorder treatment. The Bergen Newbridge team can address your total health needs in one convenient location. Call 201-225-7130 for an appointment or newbridgehealth.org.